Estás viendo Canal América, televisión dominicana para el mundo.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got. But the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your fears.
Bienvenidos de nuevo al Tiempo para la Verdad. So I want to welcome you again to our Time for Truth show. And we have a very exciting show today. A lot of information that we have planned for you. So the first thing I want to do is ask Buddha, our engineer, to put on the pictures of our guest for today, Teresa Reille. And Teresa is Chief Executive Officer of APR marketing firm. She's a mother of 3 very successful young men in upstate New York. She's been director of 5 different chapters of what's called Citizens Commission for Human Rights, which deals with helping families with different issues in the psychiatric field. She's a prolific author with many timely articles on issues that really matter in today's world. She's been on the front lines of exposing what's going on in mental health, and we're very lucky to have her on the show today. So, engineer, if you can put Teresa on the screen with us. And I want to welcome Teresa Reille. There you are. How are you,
Hi,
Teresa?
Dr. Ben. I'm very good. You caught me driving. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today. It's very exciting to be here. I'm doing wonderful, and thanks for the great introduction. You're right, I did raise 3 successful young men. I have one in, well, actually, they're all in California now. One's in the film industry. One just graduated cum laude from college. And my young one is an extreme sports enthusiast who, at 19 years old, built his own. He bought a school bus and turned it into a mobile home and drove it across country and is flying high doing aerial stunts on the ski slopes while living in his own home. So it's kind of cool.
Well, that sounds like a son of yours. And,
Yeah.
so what I wanted to ask you, and why I wanted to have you on the show, because I know you're a really strong parent, and it's very important for those parents out there. So what I was going to ask you, in terms of the psychiatric field right now and the impact on our families, our kids, I wanted to ask you your opinion on what's going on.
Well, my opinion of what's going on today is, in my humble opinion, every bad condition in the world today can be traced back to the psychiatric industry, every one of them. And personally, what's going on today with this whole thing all across the world, in my, again, humble opinion, I thoroughly believe that it is a psychological operation. Now, for years, they have been trying to drug our children through the school systems and dumb the kids down and label them with psychiatric fake diseases like ADD and ADHD, and the diagnoses of them are just all subjective. They never did any testing or anything, no blood test, no nothing. And so it's just ridiculous. But there's been such an outcry that they needed a new cash cow because it's really not working. The kids are being turned into drug addicts, and rather than helping the kids, they turn the kids into addicted drug addicts who get addicted to Ritalin, and Ritalin is a gateway drug to cocaine and heroin, and it just creates all sorts of problems. So now they have a new cash cow, and as you know, they're pushing what they're pushing today. The whole medical industry is now pushing vaccines, but sticking on the strictly psychiatric side, I do believe that this whole thing today is also a psychiatric psychological operation, but sticking directly and strictly to how psychiatry has messed up our children, you look at the fact that so many of our kids today are on psychiatric drugs and being told by their school systems and their teachers and school psychologists that their brain is injured. These beautiful young children go to school. They don't like sitting in the school all day. So the teacher tells them that their brain is injured. There's something wrong with them. And that in and of itself is criminal. And rather than actually doing something like teaching, they say that there's an attention deficit disorder. So in my opinion, the deficit is coming from the teacher, and the teacher needs to actually learn how to teach, because kids like to learn. They are all eager to learn, but when it gets coerced, and I mean, imagine growing up with a label on you that you're mentally ill, that your brain is defective. It's horrible what they're doing to these kids. So then they send them down to the school principal, and they get sent to the psychologist, and they get put on drugs, and they're labeled for life, and they're turning
Amazing. Well,
our kids into zombies.
I was going to say, Teresa, because you're hitting on a subject that you sent me a video from your group, Citizens Commission for Human Rights, and Buddha, if you could please put on this video that Teresa has sent, because I found it very informative, and I know the mothers and fathers can watch this, and then we can continue some more. So let's put on the video, Buddha.
A new psychological study from the National Institute of Mental Health.
Just this morning, along with a long-time psychiatrist.
The circle of depression is growing wider, broader.
15% of women suffer from this disorder.
Affecting over 20 million Americans. Changes that have occurred in the brain.
Abnormalities in the neurotransmitters.
Is that a chemical imbalance?
Who's got a problem? They've got a drug.
6 million American kids take prescribed medication.
Psychiatric care.
But what if the criminal is mentally ill?
It's a punishment, a form of aversion therapy.
10 minute cures on the show, but I want to
Seasonal affective disorder. Oppositional defiant disorder.
Schools criticized for overprotective.
Donde quiera que mires, ahí está. ¿Piensas que la psiquiatría no tiene nada que ver contigo? Piénsalo otra vez. Todo el campo de la psiquiatría se ha metido en cada faceta de tu vida.
They basically believe that everyone is mentally ill.
You smoke too much, it's a disease. You're too unhappy, it's a disease. You're too thin, it's a disease. You're too fat, it's a disease.
Where are these coming from? These are coming from the minds of psychiatrists that are dreaming these things up, writing papers and getting published with their names on it, creating these new diseases.
First he said that I had ADD. Then he said that I was depressed. Then he said I might be bipolar, but I don't have ADD anymore.
And he said, you know, I've been noticing you, and I wonder if you have it too.
What they decided is that both my husband and my son had a chemical imbalance that needed to be corrected with a chemical balancer.
There is not one shred of credible evidence that any respectable scientist would consider valid, demonstrating that anything that psychiatrists call mental illness are brain diseases or biochemical imbalances. It's all fraud.
There's no reliability of diagnosis, and there is no science. It's just pseudoscience. It's pretend science.
This is one of the most open secrets in all of America in the psychiatric field, that nothing is being done that's legitimate, and they're billing for it.
Los psiquiatras afirman que más de 1.000 millones de personas están mentalmente enfermas. En los últimos 30 años, el número de gente que toma drogas psiquiátricas se ha triplicado a más de 100 millones de consumidores hoy en día. Y ahora mismo, drogan a 20 millones de escolares con estimulantes y otras drogas psicotrópicas. Al preguntarles recientemente sobre la base científica de su profesión, los psiquiatras dispuestos a ser entrevistados no ofrecieron más que excusas.
Psychiatric illness is not really illness.
How do you evaluate if someone is cured or sick?
Cure is certainly something we look forward to. We had no earthly idea how to accomplish.
We're not good at causes. We don't know what causes mental illness.
Pero eso no les ha impedido declararse expertos en salud mental y tratar a la gente en contra de su voluntad. ¿Y los resultados?
This psychiatrist, man who's supposed to work to heal people, has done nothing but destroy this man's life, and in destroying his life, destroying the lives of all of his loved ones. Excuse me.
They've damaged and ruined my son, and they've trapped him in a system.
The way that they treated him and made him feel like he was worthless.
Bryant was being kept dumb and high on Ritalin so that they could make $2,500 per month.
He gave me Valium, and I got addicted to it.
It wiped out my life.
My life has been ruined. My joy has been stolen.
She was laying there. She took two gasps of air and died right there in front of me.
It is really tragic. It's awful. And it's being done for money. That's why it's being done.
Oh, it's got to be in the billions. I don't know the exact number, but it's got to be in the billions. It's just unbelievable.
This is so big that it boggles the mind.
Toma la tragedia humana que acabas de ver y multiplícala por millones. En las últimas 4 décadas murieron en hospitales psiquiátricos del gobierno casi el doble de americanos que el número de soldados estadounidenses muertos en batalla desde 1776. El gobierno de Estados Unidos y las compañías de seguros privadas pagan más de 72.000 millones cada año por servicios psiquiátricos, inflando el costo de las primas de seguros médicos. Y mientras se embolsan más de $1/3 de billón de dólares al año, la psiquiatría no puede mostrar ni una sola cura. ¿Difícil de creer? Eso es exactamente con lo que cuentan. Y como te vamos a mostrar, es la forma en que desde el principio se han salido con la suya.
So, you know what? That really is upsetting to me. And when I watch this, that's why I wanted to have you on the show, Teresa. So please go on and continue what you were commenting on before the video, because the video just kind of brought out more of what you were talking about with the misdiagnosis, kids dying. I saw the figures, more deaths from this than from the American wars. So please continue.
Well, psychiatry is the basic cause of every major ill in society today. I know that's a broad statement, but I've been in this field for a very long time, and everything can be traced back to them. It is so big. They're turning society into zombies. That is the goal. Zombies. And you see that there's all of this whole marketing campaign of movies with zombies and The Walking Dead, all that sort of thing. And now they have ramped up, literally, that's not a pun, the electroshock that they're doing. The end goal is to make a society of zombies through drugs, electroshock, and neurosurgery. And that's what they do. That's the only thing that psychiatry does. So my advice to parents out there is do not put your child in the system. Don't go in the system. Don't do it. Don't let anyone tell you or your child that their brain is defective, because their brain isn't defective. The person telling you that the brain is defective is a defective. They have defective information. They are giving false. They're just doing it to make money. And that person that's telling you that your beautiful young child is defective is not your friend. They're not your friend. Don't believe them. Walk away. No, run away from them. So I raised my 3 boys, and I taught them from early on that if anyone tries to tell you that, you tell me first, and I'm going to handle it. I put a note into the school to the nurse from day one when they went to school that under no circumstances are they ever to be sent to the school nurse or school psychologist without my permission. And in fact, they are never allowed to be sent to the school psychologist. And if there's any psychology courses or modules, my child gets exempted from that, and they get to go in the library and read. And every year the school nurse would call and ask me about it, and I would be very adamant. That's the way it is. My child is not being subjected to brainwashing or this mind control with faulty diagnosis and drugs. And I urge every parent to do that as well.
Absolutely. Well, you know, one of the statistics that I wanted to ask you about is that it seems that 90% of the shootings that we encounter in society, that person was on some kind of psychotropic drug. And I find that unbelievable, because here we are in our society trying to come up with different solutions at the same time that we're ignoring the actual cause of the shooting. Because obviously, if you're going to put somebody on drugs, how are any of these other regulations, education, how is anything going to work in somebody that you've altered their mind? I mean, tell me about this, Teresa.
Absolutely. Well, Citizens Commission on Human Rights has all the documentation on the fact that these school shootings were all committed by someone on psychiatric drugs or under psychiatric care at the time or before of the shooting. And the media PR spin on it is that, oh, he didn't take his medication that day. Well, you need to understand something, that if you're on these drugs for a period of time and you don't take your medication that day, that's when you snap. That's when you go crazy, because the withdrawal effects are so severe that it makes a person go nuts. And one of the main side effects of the drug is suicide or violent aggressive behavior. And they don't tell you that. And so we've done the research. Citizens Commission on Human Rights has all of the research on that, and it is a fact. So they're creating violent killers out there with these drugs.
It's really, to me, especially in this stressful time we've encountered in our country, really not only in our country, but globally, with the social distancing, with the loss of economic opportunities. I know myself, because I'm a big proponent of drug education, that the increase in alcohol and drug usage has gone up to about 50%, really worldwide. And so what I was going to ask you is, what has been going on in terms of the psychiatric field during this time? Because I'm so concerned with these people so stressed out on top of what they were going through already.
Well, like I said before, this whole thing is a psychiatric operation, a psyop. It's the whole thing is. But what are they doing? Well, what they're doing is, with the whole defund the police thing and whatnot, they're sending the police for counseling training, and they want to send counselors out when people get upset now. They want to do away with policing, actual policing, when there's a violent crime, and they want to send out a counselor. So they're infiltrating every aspect of life at this time. And of course, people are getting depressed from being at home and not being able to see their friends, so they're turning to drinking. And then, of course, they're going to call their psychiatrist or their doctor, and they're going to be put on more medication, more drugs. So the net effect is zombieism. You're going to have a society of zombies. Drugs, alcohol, electroshock, neurosurgery, vaccines, social distancing, wearing the mask, people in fear. This is the tactic of a psychiatrist, you know, of that industry, to keep people in fear, on drugs, and docile so that they're easier to control.
Absolutely. I see that, you know, preponderant in my area. And it's amazing to me because people are looking for leaders, and people are looking to where to turn. They want healthy lives. A lot of people are trying to figure out, well, what do I eat? How should I conduct my everyday life? What kind of exercise program should I utilize? And it's amazing because at the same time that we have this going on in our world, you were mentioning how these things are correlated and coordinated and not just haphazard occurrences. So I wanted you, in the time we had left of the show, to explain a little bit of what you were talking about.
Well, these things don't just happen, okay? These bad conditions are caused. They don't just happen out of the blue. When you have a low statistic in an area, like let's say now, society being locked in their homes and people afraid, it didn't just happen. What caused that to happen? Well, we have a media that is all over the world spouting the same message. Stay at home. The virus is going to kill you. Don't be near your family. You're going to die. Okay. So people start hearing this day in and day out. And now they're at home. What are they going to do? They're going to turn on the TV and they're going to be blasted with it for 24 hours a day. So that is an example of how it's caused. What can you do about it? Turn off the TV. Just turn it off. Go outside. Go see your family. You will see that the environment is not so dangerous as they're making it seem. And if you do go outside, you do see your family, you start seeing that life really is still going on the way that it is, then you'll start to see that maybe things aren't so bad, and maybe watching TV all the time and listening to all this bad stuff is really not the way that we should conduct ourselves. So my suggestion is to do that, to live your life. Do not listen to a politician or a talking head on CNN or the news media. Don't listen to them. Listen to you. You are your own salvation. You are responsible for you, not a politician, not a governor, not a government, not a news media person, and certainly not a doctor or psychiatrist. And when I say doctor, people do look up to their doctors, and I say doctors are good for a lot of things, but a lot of doctors are not really educated when it comes to nutrition and the drugs that they're actually doling out to people. Like, they don't study all about them. A lot of them get their knowledge from the drug company salesperson. So I encourage you to do your own research. Be your own encyclopedia. Be responsible for you. And when you have a broken arm or a broken leg, absolutely go see your doctor. I'm not saying don't see your doctor. I'm saying I wouldn't turn to a psychiatrist because you're going to either get electroshocked, drugged, or operated on. So I would suggest don't doing that. But first and foremost, realize that the environment is not so dangerous as it's being made to seem. It's not really that dangerous at all.
Okay, well, you know what? I think one of the things that you mentioned to me is the website, which is the, Citizens Commission on Human Rights. And so I want to I want to make sure that Buddha, we put that up on the screen for the viewers, and our viewers can actually have that as a reference point. Citizens Commission for Human Rights, and there are many videos there. They actually also have a hotline, so if you want to speak to someone directly, if you feel that your child is undergoing a tremendous amount of stress, or if you have someone in your family and that's happening, you don't know what to do. So again, it's Citizens Commission for Human Rights, and I know that our engineer will put that on as soon as he has it ready. And Teresa, in our closing moments that we have, what would you like to say in a closing remark to our viewers watching today?
I'd like to say thanks for being here, but also the people, if you do call Citizens Commission on Human Rights, the people on the other end of the phone really know their stuff. They've been at it for a very long time, and they actually care. They really care, and they will want to help you. They'll steer you in the right direction for some real, honest to goodness help.
Well, you know what? I want to thank you, Teresa, for having come on the show. You gave a tremendous amount of information. You're welcome. It was my pleasure. And unfortunately for today, we've run out of time, but we have other shows that we can do. And there's a lot going on in this field. So for those of you watching, Citizens Commission for Human Rights and that organization, and you can get your information there. If there's any courses you want to do, if there's anything more that you need. And from our show, and I want to just let you all know out there that we're all with you, and to have a great weekend from A Time for Truth show. We will see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend.
Sometimes life can be so damn hard. You don't know where to go. Everything keeps falling apart. Yeah. You try to do your best, but only God knows that you've given everything you've got, but the world takes you down. You just keep moving on. Let your feet